This is the spectacularly beautiful Redbud Cercis canadensis. We have them everywhere now. We planted, I don't know, minimum 50 over time because of Steve's wonderful seed propagation. And since they are all in bloom right now, there are millions of flowers everywhere, and we have pretty moderate temperatures, so the insects are very active, and this is clearly a loved plant. It is offering a lot of resources to many different kinds of bees, some wasps, flies, butterflies. I can't get over how beautiful it is and how many insects I see on them. Now, because there's genetic diversity, they are flowering at different times. And this one looks about midway through the flowering. There is one out front that I walk by and the hum stopped me in my tracks. I looked up and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of bees on this one tree. It must be at that really sweet spot. I wanted to include that in the video, but it's right on the road. So just imagine it with me, because I think you can. Look at this. We've always been told if you want to attract life to an area, say let's just talk about insects, if you want to attract them, plant a lot of the flowers to attract them. Do you think we planted a lot of redbud right in here? We call this the Redbud Forest. And I told Steve we've got to keep it so that the redbuds can do this every year. Because walking over here makes us smile every time. And the insects are so happy. They have everything they need here. It's just really working. I can't even say this enough. I wrote a blog post called Fruition, and that's the only word that seems appropriate for what is happening here. It gets better every year, yes. And the first few years, we were definitely like, oh yeah, cool, here's this, here's this, here's this. And then each year we go, oh my gosh, here's this and this and this. But now, y'all, it's astonishing. When we walk out and we look at a plant and we see the relationships happening. The other evening we walked by gooseberry ribes off the end of our porch, and there were 50 plus bumblebees on one shrub. One! So that means this early in the season, those are queen bumblebees, and those queens emerged from some tucked in shelter, a rodent nest, a part of our house, and they came out and they have the resources that they need right now, early in the season. And then because we have blooms that come on later, summertime, fall, they've got everything they need right here. These early bloomers, though, I think are a big reason we have so many insects happening. It's a hard time of year for them when we've only planted midsummer plants. So thinking about these early ones has made all the difference. The other day, I walked into the bathroom and I noticed this really loud buzz, and I could tell it was a bumblebee. They had nested in part of our house last summer, and then at the very end of the summer, after we were pretty sure all the bumbles were done for the year and the queens had dispersed, we put a piece of flashing on it because it was leaking in our hallway. And one queen had overwintered in there, and I just happened to go into the bathroom the day that she was seeking to get out. Since I turned the light on in the bathroom, she saw that light. So I tore apart the fan in the ceiling, and she came out a little nook in that fan, and I got her outside right away. She was huge, beautiful, super healthy, and obviously quite joyful to not be in the ceiling anymore. I would have loved to know where she went. She was probably one of those feeding on the ribes, and then I'm sure she found somewhere to start her nest. So fruition, at some point during your rewilding and restoration time, you're suddenly gonna know, I mean, like, this is happening way better than you ever dreamed. And because we're on our own land, we can introduce more diversity than a lot of places can. So your nature preserves, those are just stellar. They're the really best of the best. A lot of the parks are in between. And so on your own place, you can manage the invasive plants and bring plants back that have long not been on the land because they were eradicated, or they were sprayed, or they were bulldozed, you know, all those things. And by doing that, bringing back that biodiversity, starting with the plants, the diversity in plants, you are going to get the biodiversity. All kinds of different life forms are going to return, way more than you ever dreamed, if you plant as many different kinds of plants that are native to your area and that will do well on your property as possible.